Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this new Charly Bliss album, Young Enough. Brooklyn-based indie rock and power pop act Charly Bliss. I'm gonna come out and say it. I missed the boat on these guys a few years ago. To be honest, their 2017 debut, Guppy, I didn't listen to at the time. It kinda flew under my radar, and when it didn't show up on my year-end lists, a lot of people questioned that. And since then, I've had a chance to get to know the album, and now listening to it a bunch of times, it's not too shocking why. It's actually a pretty fantastic album. Like, this is genuinely fantastic power pop, emphasis on power. Because trust me, this album does still rip. Even though it's a poppy album at the end of the day, it brings in elements of indie rock and glam rock, as well as garage rock and some grunge. But the hooks on this album are just so damn sticky that this was a first listen love for me in a big way. And ever since, Charly Bliss have had some pretty big headlining acts around and big tours and all that. And it seems like the hype behind this new album has gotten only bigger and better. And these singles have certainly been really good as well. Let's chat about this thing. This album starts off with Blown to Bits. And honestly, I think it's an amazing start. Like a lot of this album, it's a little flashier, it's a little poppier, but that doesn't make it bad. I freaking love just how synth heavy this track is. Not to mention we get a bubblegum pop sound just like directly below the surface. It's so catchy, but it also has tons of attitude. And the way that this track builds up slowly over time is just brilliant. Charly Bliss actually sound even more determined than they did on their debut. Like, I'm actually stunned. This is still a very big, very muscular track, obviously. But it's also genuinely catchy as hell. It's adorable, but it'll bite the hell out of you, which is what I could say about a lot of this album. Camera, just through and through, is a genuinely fantastic pop tune. Pound for pound, this may be the catchiest track of the bunch. It's not nearly as flashy, too, which is genuinely refreshing. But Charly Bliss continued to have so much more purpose than they did on their debut. The chorus is infectious. The synth solo is freaking awesome. It's something I want to hear even more of. And the backing harmonies as well. And for such a great touch. Later on the album, we get Bleach. All I can say is hell yes. This is the pop rock and power pop album that I really needed right now. I love just how upbeat and urgent this track is. It's also a rather really personal track as well, which is great to hear from Charly Bliss. It also shows them really ramping up the attitude, something I could totally get with. But they don't even let anything slide. This track is just as impeccably written as the rest of the album. Then we get Chatroom. Once again, their impeccable ability to write a hook is ridiculous. This one has a really great groove as well, which is something I didn't see coming. While this is only their second album, I feel like they've already grown so much as a band, and that's great. This one's got it all. It's got big guitars, an even bigger hook. Like, this is where I want to hear them. And it's nothing short of an absolute blast. And that one final group chorus, like, this is so gold. Now, if you're not interested in Charly Bliss, bringing in a little bit more synthesizers into their music, this is going to be a little bit of a rough listen, but I don't honestly think it takes anything away from the album. Capacity early on comes off a little bit more robotic, honestly. But it's still just so damn cute, so damn catchy, such an earworm of a track. Like, this is just a really classy pop tune, equal parts bubblegum and ballad. Like, it honestly sounds like it should have been softer in parts, but Charly Bliss ended up blowing right past that and just making a really great tune out of it. The throwback guitar solo here actually hits me right in the feels, and the final stretch of harmonious vocals are just A+. And pound for pound, I think the title track is the best track here. I love the pounding drums and the way that this one slowly builds. Here, frontwoman Eva Hendricks has such a freaking presence to her. Like, it's stunning, and her vocal performance is incredible. This track just acts so much like a mission statement for this entire album, which honestly is right where it should be. This track is just beyond epic. Like, this is the most epic track here, and I just can't help getting caught up in it. Hard to Believe is one of the most incredibly flashy, yet somehow easily like the funnest track here. And more than anything, the sheer urgency here is outrageous. Charly Bliss on this entire album are playing with such purpose. It makes me happy. As a matter of fact, so much of this album just takes me back to a much simpler time in pop rock that just makes me happy, like, as it is. Like, I can't be mad listening to half of these tracks. I really can't. And as a finale here, The Truth, like, where did this track come from? I love how sleek and how almost dark this track is. There's almost even like a slight new wave feel to this. But while the verses here pack a huge punch, I can't help but feel a little bit let down by the chorus here. I think it's a little flat. It does bring this finale down a couple of pegs as far as I'm concerned, but outside of that, I don't have too many complaints here. I mean, Under You, very early in the album, has the most teeth here. It's got a lot of elements of punk rock and garage rock, but don't worry, it also has that very cute undertone that you've been hearing throughout this entire album. Like, honestly, this track almost comes off as like a throwback girl group sort of track, but with just enough attitude. For me, though, like, the instrumental is just kind of alright here. I could have actually seen, like, maybe some more synthesizers thrown in here, but it just makes this track sort of average for me. And Fighting in the Dark is just so unnecessary. Like this album actually has a really great flow to it. We didn't need a 1-minute spoken word interlude. Like, I think it's a reasonable interlude, but I just feel like it just breaks up the pace of this album. And my least favorite track here is Hurt Me. It's like the lightest track of the bunch. It's very whimsical, it's very sleepy-eyed, and I don't have a problem with that. I think actually, like, under the right circumstances, this track could have done, like, really well. But it's the songwriting here, like, no thank you. Like, this is the worst songwriting of the bunch. It's obnoxious. Like, it's almost laughably bad, especially when everything else here has come very easily to the band. Like, this doesn't even sound like the same group, to be honest. But outside of that, I think this is a very solid follow-up. I think this actually is even better than their debut album, Guppy. I think that in the few years since then, the band has even gotten more catchy with songwriting, brought in some interesting instrumentals like synthesizers, and are bringing in more personality and an urgency than ever. I'm feeling a light 8 on this album, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you guys would like for me to chat about in the future. Until next time, have a great day, guys.